We'll discuss regarding the management part of diabetic ketoacidosis. Regarding the management, we have to primarily focus on we have to first consider what are our goals. We have to correct the dehydration and we have to address the acidosis. We have to you achieve the euglycemic state, but there has to be gradual restoration, right? If we'll consider the rapid fall in glucose levels, there are high chances of cerebral edema. Then we have to reverse the ketosis. We have to slowly correct the hyperosmolality. We have to address the ongoing complications, and we have to avoid the complications, the most dreadful of which is the cerebral edema. And then we have to identify and eliminate the precipitating causes, and our target is to focus on to prevent the recurrent episodes of diabetes. Now what all investigation we need to get it done? First of all, we have to check the blood sugar levels. If the patient with such symptomatology presents to you, you have to first of all check the blood sugar levels. You have to send the urine routine examination. You have to see for the glucose. You have to see for the urine for ketone bodies. And in order to find out the precipitating event, to rule out any infections, you have to get the CBC done. You have to send the blood cultures, you have to send urine routine and urine cultures, and you have to rule out any underlying chest infections by getting a chest x-ray done. Then in order to monitor the complications, we have to get the serum electrolytes done every 2 hourly initially, but at least 6 hourly it need to be done. Then we have to get ABG is very important, either ABG or VBG we have to get it done to know for the bicarb levels, to know for the pH levels. We have to get the LFTs, we have to get one ECG done in order, in case if there is hyperkalemia, to see for those changes. Now, while we are doing the emergency management of the patient of diabetic ketoacidosis, what is our approach? Our approach is the same as for all the emergency patients. We have to address the ABC, we have to see for the airway, we have to check for the patency of the airways, we have to assess the GCS. If the GCS is anything 8 or less than that, it could be because of your cerebral edema, the depressed sensorium. Then you have to immediately intubate the patient and start on mechanical ventilation. Make it sure without intubation, you have to place the NG tube and you have to decompress the stomach. B's, then you have to breathing, you have to give the oxygen. Then for circulation, you have to check for the signs of shock. You have to secure 2 large bore IV cannulas. You have to start with the fluid resuscitation and you have to start with the ECG monitoring. The most important is कि patient shock में है या नहीं है ना? In case if the patient is in shock, what are the signs of shock? There is tachycardia, the pulses are feeble, thready, peripheries are cold and clammy. Then immediately after securing the IV line, in case if IV line can't be secured, because since the patient is in shock, you have to immediately start the intraosseous line. Then you have to give fluid, start with the fluid resuscitation. Very important, 20 ml per kg to be given over 60 minutes. 20 ml per kg to be given over 60 minutes. After 1 hour, you have to reassess for the features of shock. In case if there is improvement, if there is improvement, you can give second bolus also of 20 ml per kg. But you have to strictly watch for signs. You have to do strict monitoring. Then what is the type of fluid? Obviously, the type of fluid that you have to give, you have to start resuscitation with the NS only. The normal saline is to be given, not to be given beyond 40 ml per kg. In case if the patient is not responding to these fluid loading doses, then you can start with the inotropes also. You can start with. Then you have to calculate the fluid and the insulin. You have to immediately start that using the Milwaukee's formula. Now we'll start discussing about the Milwaukee's protocol in detail. जो diabetic ketoacidosis है उसमें हम लोग Milwaukee's protocol follow करते हैं. What is Milwaukee's protocol? Milwaukee protocol के accordingly क्या होता है कि जो initial time है जब पेशेंट आपके पास अप्रोच करता है तो पहले आपने उसको फ्लूइड रिससिटेशन स्टार्ट करनी, क्योंकि पेशेंट इज सीवियरली डिहाइड्रेटेड. तो आपने क्या करना है, 10 ml पर kg से उसको ओवर 30 मिनट्स आपने फ्लूइड देना. विच फ्लूइड इज टू बी गिवन? NS इज टू बी गिवन, राइट. देन अगर फीचर्स ऑफ शॉक हैं, इफ पेशेंट इज हैविंग फीचर्स ऑफ शॉक, देन अगेन यू कैन रिपीट दिस बोलस of 10 ml per kg. Again you can repeat over 30 minutes, and after that initial 1 hour, it is only after initial fluid resuscitation you will start the insulin drip to the patient. ठीक है, फिर इंसुलिन हम स्टार्ट करेंगे. साइड बाय साइड विल कंटिन्यू द फ्लूइड एंड साइड बाय साइड विल कंटिन्यू द इंसुलिन ड्रिप. इंसुलिन ड्रिप कैसे बनानी है? इंसुलिन ड्रिप जो है वो आपने कितने से स्टार्ट करनी है? 0.1 यूनिट पर kg पर आवर. अब ड्रिप कैसे बनानी है ये हम सेपरेट वीडियो में डिस्कस करेंगे. अब फ्लूइड कौन सा स्टार्ट करना है? इनिशियल रिससिटेशन के बाद अगर आप RBS 1 घंटे के बाद जब आपने ये रिससिटेशन करी, यू हैव टू चेक द ब्लड शुगर लेवल्स. अगर ब्लड शुगर लेवल अराउंड 300 है तो आपने 0.45% NS 0.45% NS के साथ आपने 5% डेक्सट्रोज जो है वो पेशेंट को फ्लूइड स्टार्ट करना है. इट इज़ बेसिकली N/2 DNS, राइट. इट इज़ बेसिकली N/2 DNS जो है वो आपने स्टार्ट करना है. इसके साथ साथ ही आपने पोटेशियम क्लोराइड KCl यू हैव टू ऐड. KCl कितना ऐड करना है इस मेंटेनेंस फ्लूइड में? एज सुन एज द पेशेंट पासेस द यूरिन या आपके पास पोटेशियम के लेवल्स हैं, तो अगर पोटेशियम के लेवल्स भी हैं तो तब भी आपने इमीडिएटली पोटेशियम स्टार्ट करना है. व्हाट अमाउंट ऑफ पोटेशियम इज टू बी स्टार्टेड? यू हैव टू ऐड 40 मिली इक्विवेलेंट पर लीटर. 40 मिली इक्विवेलेंट पर लीटर. तो इट इज़ रफली 1 ml is 2 milli equivalent. So it is 20 ml of KCl is to be added in 1 liter of IV fluid that we are giving to the patient. अब ये है कि जो फ्लूइड एक तो इंसुलिन ड्रिप होगी, दूसरी जो मेंटेनेंस फ्लूइड की ड्रिप है वो हमने कैसे स्टार्ट करनी है. क्या होता है कि वी हैव मॉडरेट डिहाइड्रेशन एंड सीवियर डिहाइड्रेशन इन पेशेंट्स ऑफ DK. मॉडरेट डिहाइड्रेशन में मतलब कितना डेफिसिट होएगा? द डेफिसिट इज अराउंड 5 to 7% एंड इन सीवियर डिहाइड्रेशन द डेफिसिट इज अराउंड 7 to 10%. सो द वन वी हैव रिटन जो फॉर्मूला पर kg ऑफ मेंटेनेंस जो फ्लूइड है, ये जो 85 ml पर kg है ना, व्हाट इज दिस? दिस इज बेसिकली डेफिसिट. इट इज़ अराउंड 8.5% डेफिसिट. सो सपोजिंगली अगर 10 kg का बच्चा है और सीवियर डिहाइड्रेशन यू आर सस्पेक्टिंग इन अ पेशेंट ऑफ DK, तो 10% डेफिसिट. 10% इट मीन्स कि 10 इट इज़ 100 ml पर kg. तो 100 ml पर kg फॉर 10 kg इज 1000 ml. सो इन दिस केस यू विल कंसीडर 1000 ml. ठीक है, तो 100 ml पर kg इज द डेफिसिट. अगर सीवियर डिहाइड्रेशन है देन यू हैव गॉट द मेंटेनेंस फ्लूइड. Ideally, whatever fluid we are given, ideally we calculate the drip for another 48 hours so that कि जो euglycemic state है that we can gradually receive that euglycemic state, right? तो over for 48 hours we have to correct. इसमें what we need to do first is 85 ml per kg or 100 ml per kg of the deficit you will consider, and then plus maintenance. Then that maintenance fluid has to be for another 48 hours, right? For 48 hours के लिए आपने maintenance fluid calculate कर लेना है माइनस बोलस. अब बोलस जो इनिशियल आपने फ्लूइड रिससिटेशन में फ्लूइड दिया है, बी 10 ml पर kg और इट इज़ 120 ml पर kg, वो पूरे बोलस को आपने माइनस कर लेना है. अगर तो आप 24 आवर्स का कैलकुलेट कर रहे हैं तो यू हैव टू डिवाइड इट बाय 23 आवर्स. अगर फॉर 48 आवर्स वी आर गिविंग देन यू हैव टू डिवाइड इट बाय 47 आवर्स, राइट. देन पोटेशियम एज आई टोल्ड यू अर्लियर कि KCl इज टू बी एडेड इन द फ्लूइड. अगर तो you have the KCl report with you, you have potassium, serum potassium report is with you and it is less than 3 milli equivalent per liter, you can increase the amount. Earlier normal maintenance was adding 40 milli equivalent per liter, right? Now you were adding, now you will add 80 milli equivalent per liter. Okay, now you will add 80 milli equivalent per liter of IV fluids, right? Then second is your ये fluid deficit, again it's being explained. 5% of fluid deficit, 5 to 7% and 7 to 10% in case of severe DK. And as I explained earlier कि अगर 10% deficit है 10 kg बच्चे में तो it is around 1000 ml, right? Then comes is your fluid calculation. Very easily they have calculated it. ये तो आपको हॉलीडे सेगार फॉर्मूला से यू विल कैलकुलेट द मेंटेनेंस फ्लूइड. फ्लूइड जो है आपने किस स्टेज पे चेंज करना है, दैट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. व्हेन यू हैव टू चेंज द फ्लूइड. अगर आपकी RBS जो है, सो एवरी आर्ली मॉनिटरिंग ऑफ RBS इज टू बी डन. दे हैव गिवन यू अ रफ एस्टिमेशन कि सपोजिंगली यू हैव टू मेक द फ्लूइड्स. तो अगर आपने N/2 कैसे बनाना है, 250 ml NS लेके और 250 ml ऑफ डिस्टिल वाटर लेंगे और उसमें मेंटेनेंस आप पोटेशियम डाल दो, KCl, है ना. देन अगर 200 to 300 है तो ऑब्वियसली यू विल हैव टू ऐड N/2 में आपने डेक्सट्रोज 5% ऐड करना है. तो व्हाट यू विल डू, यू विल ऐड D10% टू दिस 250 ml ऑफ NS. और अगर आपने D10% बनाना है तो 300 ml इसमें आप 200 ml डेक्सट्रोज 25% जो है वो ऐड कर देंगे. दिस इज़ द रफ फॉर्मूला बाय विच दिस इज़ बेसिकली टेलिंग यू हाउ यू विल प्रिपेयर. पहली चीज़ है फ्लूइड आपने इनिशियल 48 आवर्स के लिए देना ही देना है पेशेंट को. एज सुन एज योर यूग्लाइसेमिक स्टेट इज अचीव्ड, पेशेंट हैज स्टार्टेड tolerating liquids, fluids, there is no nausea, there is no vomiting, right? That is the stage when you can start tapering IV fluids. Taper if need in a fussy children with blood glucose levels. अगर blood glucose levels started maintaining initial 48 hours के बाद तक तो Milwaukee's protocol करनी है. अगर patient उसके बाद sensorium is good, patient has started tolerating oral fluids, then you can stop. ठीक है. If tolerating orally, you can stop abruptly. You can stop fluids, but you have to start with the subcut insulin also side by side, right? Then insulin therapy that we have already started, it is essential कि आपको insulin therapy जो है वो start करनी है. Insulin, it is very important कि जो पहला 1 घंटा resuscitation या fluid resuscitation जब भी आप दे रहे हो तब आपको insulin जो है वो नहीं देनी है. Insulin boluses has not to be given. Insulin boluses has not to be given because bolus insulin जो है increase the risk of your cerebral edema and hypokalemia, right? So bolus insulin के doses नहीं देने हैं, आपने insulin infusion ही देनी है. Initially अगर blood sugar levels you can slowly decrease the rate of insulin. पहले we were giving at the rate of 0.1 unit per kg per hour. You can decrease it to 0.05 unit per kg per hour, right? Now what is the loads of insulin? Doses ideally 0.05 to 0.1 unit per kg per hour, right? And the normal blood glucose fall rate at the rate of 36 to up to maximum 90 milligram per deciliter per hour. Higher doses in case if we there is no need to increase the dose of insulin because higher doses can further increases the risk of hypokalemia, further increases the chances of cerebral edema. So कैसे ड्रिप बनानी है, दैट्स वेरी सिंपल एज हैव ऑलरेडी शोन यू. 1 यूनिट है ना. 1 ml जो रेगुलर इंसुलिन होता है दैट इज इक्वलेंट टू 1 ml इज इक्वलेंट टू 40 यूनिट. तो सिंपली आपने क्या करना है, 1 ml जो है उसको 39 ml ऑफ NS में बना लेना है. 39 ml ऑफ NS में बना लोगे तो 1 ml में आपका 1 यूनिट हो गया. 1 ml नाउ कंटेन्स 1 यूनिट. नाउ इफ यूल गिव इट एट द रेट ऑफ 0.1 into weight of the patient per hour. This is the rate. It will be delivered at the rate of 0.1 unit per kg per hour. Now we'll start discussing regarding कि how we'll titrate the insulin. Insulin की जो drip है वो कैसे titrate करनी है. Insulin को जो titrate करना है उसके लिए we need to target the blood glucose levels. Blood glucose levels, our target is कि we have to keep the blood glucose levels around 200 milligram per deciliter. अगर तो पर डिपेंड करता है कि पर आवर जो ग्लूकोज का फॉल है वो कितना है. जो हमारा एक्सेप्टेबल फॉल है दैट इज़ अराउंड 90 to 100 milligram per deciliter per hour. If the fall is less than 100 milligram per deciliter per hour, we have to increase the insulin rate by 50%. But if the fall is more than 100 milligram per deciliter per hour, then we have to decrease the insulin rate by 50%. Now why insulin dose or drip we need to titrate? Because insulin is very important. It is needed to clear the ketonemia for the correction of acidosis. The blood sugar falls much before the acidosis is corrected. Now what is the dose? सबसे पहले ये कि सबकट इंसुलिन जो पेशेंट में वो कब स्टार्ट करनी है, मतलब व्हेन वी हैव टू स्विच टू द सबकट इंसुलिन. फर्स्ट थिंग इज कि जब पेशेंट क्लिनिकली स्टेबल हो जाएगा. सेकंड थिंग इज कि जब पीएच नॉर्मलाइज हो जाएगा. थर्ड थिंग इज दैट when patient started accepting orally, you have to take into consideration कि जो सबकट इंसुलिन से स्विच करना है that is not dependent upon the ketonuria, right? So ketonuria is not a criteria for switching to subcut insulin. Now what is the dose of subcut insulin that we need to start with? In case of DK, whenever the patient comes, it depends upon the age. And in case it is the newly diagnosed with no DK, the doses are different. The doses are taken from the Nelson textbook, standard textbook. In case of DK, if patient is into pre-pubertal age group, then you have to start initially with the 0.75 units per kg per day. ठीक है? 0.75 to 1. In pubertal, 1 to 1.2. So maximum during puberty, we can go up to 1.2, and post pubertal we can keep the dose around 1. And if there is no diabetic ketoacidosis, patient is a newly diagnosed case of your diabetes, then you have to start in case of pre-pubertal 0.25 to 0.5. 0.25 to 0.5. In pubertal the dose requirement is more. In it we can go up to 0.75, and in pre-pubertal and post-pubertal, if there is no diabetic ketoacidosis, the dose is same. It is 0.25 to 0.5 units per kg per day. Now the next is when exactly the subcut dose of insulin is to be given. They say that just before the meals, supposingly your meal is ready, you have kept the meal by side of the patient, your meal is all prepared, it is lying by the side of the patient, you have to give 30 minutes prior giving the meals to the patient. Okay, regular insulin is to be given 1 to 2 hours prior to stopping insulin infusion, and rapid acting insulin jo hai, that is to be given 30 minutes before, right? And how you have to monitor the blood sugar levels thereafter, you have to monitor it before breakfast, before lunch, before dinner, and the next is, it's very important, there is electrolyte imbalance in case of diabetic ketoacidosis, so we need to focus on the prime is your potassium. So potassium hypokalemia can occur up to 48 hours after starting the, even after starting the DK treatment. Obviously, because we have started insulin also, so there is a risk of hypokalemia for another 48 hours after we have started the treatment. So potassium replacement is required in all those cases, right? And what are the signs that you will see on your ECG? There is flattening of T waves, prolonged flat T wave, prolonged QRS complex. There might be paralytic ileus, that is a clinical finding, and there can be weakness also. Paralytic ileus, bowel sounds will be absent. The next is potassium. How much potassium is to added? Potassium is added to replenish the deficit of about 3 to 6 milliequivalent per kg. Potassium कैसे add करना है? You have to add 40 milliequivalent per liter, and as you know 1 ml is equivalent to 2 milliequivalent, right? और अगर पेशेंट का जो अपना, we can increase the dose, we can also increase the dose. If your initial potassium levels are less than 3, you can increase it up to 80 milliequivalents per liter, right? But make it sure through the peripheral line you cannot increase beyond 60 milliequivalent per liter, right? If the child is hypokalemic, potassium replacement should be at the time of initial volume expansion before giving insulin therapy. So initial, if potassium levels are available with you, replacement need to be started, even you will start the insulin therapy. Now what you have to monitor the urine output, you have to monitor the serum electrolyte levels, and you have to do ECG monitoring of the patient. So this is the ECG showing the ECG changes at different levels of potassium. Potassium, if it is 5.5 to 6.5, this is for hyperkalemia. You have tall T wave, and you have prolonged PR segment. Now this is ये ग्रेजुअली इंक्रीज होगा. पहले क्या है, टॉल टी वेव है, और PR सेगमेंट जो है वो प्रोलॉन्ग्ड हो गई है. अगर 6.5 to 8 है तो P wave is lost, QRS complex is prolonged, ST elevation is there, ectopic beats and escape rhythms can be there. And if it is more than 8 milliequivalent, asystole can occur, ventricular fibrillation can occur, all those manifestations can be there. So serum potassium levels, they say कि अगर initial वाला जो है it is less than 3 milliequivalent per liter, insulin temporarily withhold करके potassium एक bolus you have to give. Bolus is like stock you have to give. कितने से देना है? 0.5 to 1 milliequivalent per kg. और IV को आप बढ़ा सकते हो till 80 milliequivalent per liter, but through peripheral line 60 milliequivalent per liter is acceptable. If it is more than 3 but less than 5.5, it is in between, so you can mix potassium acetate and potassium phosphate in 1:1 ratio, but in routine we give KCl only, right, which is easily available. Another important ion is your sodium, right? Sodium को क्या होता है? Sodium, what happens कि for every 100 milligram per deciliter rise in your blood glucose levels above 100 milligram per deciliter, sodium falls by 1.6 milliequivalent per liter. Now ऐसा क्यों होता है? As we discussed earlier, what happens कि जब blood glucose का level जो है वो बढ़ता है तो there increase in osmolarity, तो fluid started shifting from intracellular space to extracellular space, so there is dilutional hyponatremia. So formula for this is corrected. Always you have to consider corrected sodium levels. How we'll calculate the corrected sodium levels, that is very important. It is measured sodium plus 1.6 into the current glucose levels minus 100. It is to be divided by 100, right? Then it is, look at the formula. Now there is an example. Suppose serum sodium is 135 or current blood glucose level is here around 600. So current sodium is your 135, you'll plus 1.6, it has to be multiplied by 600 minus 100 divided by 100. So 500 the corrected comes out to be 143 milliequivalent per liter.